Jim Gordon here in the offices of the Richmond Sentinel. Time for another edition of Richmond Stories. Our guest today is well known in this city. As a longtime resident of Richmond, Ed Gafsey has been involved in the volunteer sector for decades, having served as a director and chair of Richmond Chamber of Commerce, chair of Richmond Cares, Richmond Gives, and chair of the Richmond Spirit of BC Committee. He and his wife Linda founded a private career college which they expanded to several campuses in the Lower Mainland before they sold it. Ed's background also includes media and management positions in tourism, hospitality, and the financial sector. The Richmond Sentinel welcomes Ed Gafsey with another Richmond Stories. And joining us now here in the Richmond Sentinel office, right in the studio, is Ed Gafsey. Ed, welcome.
Thank you, Jim.
You've done a lot in your career. Today we're going to talk about Richmond Cares, Richmond Gives. You are the president and CEO.
I am.
It's been serving the community for 50 years. Give our viewers a little background before we ask some other questions.
Well, we are a full-service social service agency, and we have programs that we administer for various levels of government under contract, as well as Vancouver Coastal Health. But our base businesses, we are the volunteer center for Richmond. So we encourage people, we encourage volunteerism. We have about 65 nonprofit members who come to us to list volunteer opportunities, and also we offer different seminars and webinars to help them train to manage and recruit volunteers. But we have programs for seniors. We do a grocery delivery program for seniors, transportation services for seniors, and we also operate the Child Care Resource and Referral Center for Richmond, which is operated throughout BC. We have the Richmond contract. So we like to say that we pretty much take care of people from birth right through until their older adult years.
You mentioned programs, various programs. Let's talk about the recent Christmas program you did. How about some updates on that?
So the Richmond Christmas Fund, been in business for 91 years continuously. Wow. It was founded in 1932 by Ethel Tibbetts, who of course was the publisher of the Richmond Review at that time. And what we do is we help people over the Christmas period. These are the most vulnerable residents of Richmond, but we provide them with both food cards and toys. And this past year, we had our largest numbers ever. And I'm always very proud to say not so much that we help more and more people every year, but that we're able to help everyone who asks for help. So in this past year, we helped just under 4,000 people, which was about a 38% increase over the previous year, and we gave out about 11,000 toys for people. All of our toys, I should mention, are not bought. They're all donated.
That's lovely.
And the Richmond RCMP now hold our banner toy gathering event, their toy drive, which just in 2023 saw its 9th year, and they've just confirmed they'll be doing a 10th year of the toy drive.
That's wonderful. And explain to our viewers how it breaks down. Or do you rely on government support, be it federal and or provincial, city? Is it mostly fundraising? How do you guys exist?
So it's a community-supported operation. We get, with a very small exception, we do not get any level of government funding for the Christmas Fund.
Right.
So we depend on the community, both corporate and individuals, to come through and help us to be able to buy those cards that I mentioned, the food cards, that we can distribute. And I have to say that the Christmas Fund, I'm often asked, how much satisfaction do I get from doing this job? And I have to say that the Christmas Fund gives me the most satisfaction because I get to see and talk to the clients. And the number of people that say to me, without the Christmas Fund, I don't have extra money for a Christmas meal, or my kids wouldn't get toys without it. That really gives me a lot of satisfaction in operating the program. But there is a small community gaming grant from the provincial government, which is probably less than 0.5% of our total operating budget for Christmas Fund. Other than that, no level of government support.
Is that something that should change? I mean, would you welcome that? I mean,
we've asked.
Yeah.
Believe me, we've asked at all levels. The City of Richmond employees do actually do a 50-50 draw that supports the Richmond Christmas Fund, but that's not the city itself, that's the employees. Other than the gaming grant I mentioned, there's no other provincial support, and there doesn't seem to be any support that where we would qualify at the federal government level. We would certainly like to see some support because everyone is talking about poverty reduction, and this is certainly a poverty aid.
Yes.
So we keep asking, believe me.
Would that maybe you're answering my next question? In that is that your biggest challenge in what you do? Is funding and getting support?
Funding's always a challenge, and the statistics from across Canada are indicating that, for instance, in 2023, I'm talking generally to nonprofits, donations were down by about 12% over the previous year, and the number of people who donated were down by about 18%. So, and we can understand why. These are challenging economic times, and disposable income is usually used for your charitable donations, and the first thing to go when disposable income drops is likely a charitable donation. And I should say, we've seen that across corporate giving as well. It's down for us. Luckily, a few other people have stepped up. A few other corporations have stepped up to fill the gap, but it's always a challenge making sure that we can continue to serve all the people. Government contracts are usually held at the previous level with a bit of a cost of living bump, but our other programs that are not at all government funded, it's always a challenge.
Speaking of challenges, everybody has a pivot story through we'll call the COVID years. How did that affect Richmond Cares Richmond Gives?
Well, the biggest one, I guess, was the Christmas Fund. So for, at that time, 89 years or 88 years, we had done things a certain way. Not from the beginning, but it was in-person Christmas Fund. So both registration and distribution. Well, of course, when COVID came about, we had to pivot. And so we went totally online. So, for instance, to qualify, because clients do have to qualify and show some proof of need. We had to do that all through Zoom and Zoom rooms. I'm not a technical guy, but I know that they were saying all of our rooms in Zoom were filled during our period of registration. Then when people came to pick up the toys, we had to have volunteers pre-choose the toys. So normally, in normal times, parents go into the toy room, choose the toys for each of their children, and off they go. We had to have volunteers go in with the ages and the sex of the children, and then choose the toys, and they were bagged up, and people were assigned time slots to come and pick everything up. So that was probably one of our biggest pivots. And of course, like everyone else, we went to Zoom for our meetings, our seminars, our workshops, everything went on Zoom. But we were able to keep going, and when I say keep going, I mean continue to provide services, which is what we're there for, throughout that period. And then the governments actually came through with a lot of extra funding, and we were able to give out grants, to special COVID-related grants to various organizations for food security or seniors isolation or addressing needs like that during COVID.
Speaking of seniors, talk a bit more about some of the services you provide. You mentioned child care resource and also helping out with the senior community. Give us a little more description about that.
So the biggest program we have, it's called Better at Home, again, operated throughout the province, funded by the province of British Columbia. They give the money to United Way, who then manages the contracts throughout the province. So under the Better at Home program, I mentioned that we do grocery shopping. I thought it would drop a bit after COVID. It hasn't. We shop orders for about 130 seniors a week. The seniors pay for the food, so we have their credit card number, but volunteers go in and shop the order. So volunteers take the orders, or staff. The volunteers go in, shop the order, and then deliver it the next day to the seniors who can't get out. So that's probably our largest. But under Better at Home, we have transportation service. So if a senior needs a lift to a doctor's appointment or go to church or has to get out shopping, we have volunteers who will go and pick them up in a vehicle. These volunteers are all highly trained in fall prevention, dealing with difficult people. We put them through a number of training programs before they before they go out. As a senior myself, I think the dealing with difficult people may be the most important one. We also do light housekeeping service. So we have a separate contract with Vancouver Coastal Health. So for instance, a senior is being released from the hospital and they need some help with meal preparation and perhaps housekeeping once a week. The program manager will get in touch with our office and we will arrange through contractors we have to send someone in to help them, as I say, with either the housekeeping or do some meal preparation for them. And then we also have another, in our seniors department, we have another program called Seniors Peer Counseling. So this is for seniors who've gone through a stressful situation. Perhaps they've lost a spouse or they've had to move out of their home for 40 plus years. Again, we have specially trained volunteers. They go through 55 hours of training and they then counsel that senior for 6 to 8 months to help them get through that stressful situation. So we offer all those programs, and we offer it, of course, with the nature of Richmond and our ethnicity, we offer those programs in Cantonese, Mandarin, and Punjabi.
So you mentioned volunteering. How can someone volunteer?
So we on our website, which is rcrg.org, we have a Volunteer Now page or pages, and on that, all of the organizations, the nonprofit organizations in Richmond, can list their volunteer opportunities, whether it be an event or an ongoing or a board member, whatever they have. And then individuals can go onto that page and they can sort, or I should say filter, by if they're interested in working at an event or they're interested in helping seniors or animal welfare, whatever it is. And then those opportunities will come up. At that point, we as an organization step back. If the individual is interested in one of those opportunities, they then click on a button and they're now dealing directly with the organization who has the volunteer opportunity. So we advertise for volunteers, we encourage volunteers. We have a program right now in high schools in Richmond where once a year one of our staff goes in and hopefully the school has a general student assembly and they go in and talk about volunteerism because it's important to get kids at that age, high school age, involved in volunteerism so that they'll continue on. So all those things we do to encourage and list opportunities for volunteering.
Hey, it's been another great Richmond Stories here at the offices of the Richmond Sentinel. We've been talking with Ed Gaffsey. He is the president and CEO of Richmond Cares, Richmond Gives. Again, rcrg.org.
That's the place.
We've got the website right up here on the screen now. Thank you for joining us, Ed.
Thanks, Jim.
Yeah, thank you for watching another Richmond Stories. I'm Jim Gordon.